Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I want to do another writing video today, but again, this isn't just for writers. This has to do with story, so it pertains to anyone interested in story and to kind of understand why, what are some of the problems with the stories that we have today. So, kind of start at the beginning, and we'll see how we can get up into this and develop it. I start out my writing classes, whether I'm teaching a creative writing class or a college composition class or nonfiction or anything like that, with saying one statement that before you write anything, a story, a school paper, even a tweet or a YouTube comment, before you write anything at all, you need to have two things very clear in your mind. Two things you need to be absolute certain about. And it bears thinking about, because some people don't, as we'll see. You need to know who your audience is and what is your purpose. Now, that's easy to see in things like, a message to somebody, an office memo. Well, my audience is my office, my coworkers, and the purpose is to let them know about this meeting that we need to have on this day or something, And if your audience is your coworkers, then you're going to use a certain type of language and a certain level of formality. You're going to avoid certain topics and just keep to other topics. And I tell my students, if you're writing a professor and trying to get an extension on a paper due date, well, your audience is your professor. So that's going to determine, a certain level of formality and whatnot. And your purpose. So you want to seem like you're a very responsible student and you're a victim of circumstances beyond your control. If you understand audience and purpose, then all of these things like ethos, pathos, logos, all of these tools in your writing toolbox, like your word choice, your structure, and all of that will fall in line. You'll make the decisions, hopefully the right decisions about all of those issues that serve your audience and your purpose. How can I best achieve my purpose with this audience? And that's the same thing with creative writing as well. But let me start with some some nonfiction type writing just to illustrate this a little bit more and some of the problems with it. And I say that you definitely, once you figure out your audience and your purpose, you have to hold to that audience and purpose. Keep that first and foremost, especially when you're feeling emotional about the topic, especially if you're emotional in any way. So I'll give you an example, a couple examples. I sell, I'm trying to increase my Star Wars EU book collection here. So I do a lot of buying and selling on Mercari. It's kind of like another eBay type, website or whatever. And I was selling something, I forgot what it was, something that I no longer needed, some old book or whatever. And somebody messaged me and said, I would buy this right now if the shipping wasn't so outrageous. I guess you're not buying it. Like, don't come at me with attitude. I've got the power to decrease the shipping or not, how dare you? And so I just blocked the person. Like, well, then I guess you're not buying it. But I've been in that position where I found a book, an EU book that I'd been missing, and I was like, oh, I really want this. But the shipping was pretty high. And I knew with some of these things, I was like, okay, well, if he used, this kind of, shipping or whatever, it could be cheaper. So I emailed the guy and I said, hey, really interested in this book or whatever you're selling. And I said, would love to buy it. I said, but I'm wondering, is there any way that you might be able to possibly do a cheaper shipping option, like maybe like a medium mail or something like that, And so just checking. Thanks for your time. Made it very clear. I was kind of over the top abundant of, hey, you have the power in this. If you don't mind, thank you for your time. All that kind of extra stuff. And he came back. He's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was so high. This and that. And so I was able to buy the book, the EU book. You know your audience. The seller has the power, right? Another example, slightly different. And this is where we start to get, this is going to be kind of a bridge into talking about fiction and some of the problems with people who don't consider their audience and don't hold to their purposes or have the wrong purposes in fiction. But here's another example. I'm a fan of this. I don't want to use any names here, but I'm a fan of this this actor, comedian, I don't know what you want to call him. He does these hilarious little short videos. He posts them on Facebook, Instagram, all the things. And he's very talented. He's a very talented actor. He plays all these roles himself, and they're just funny. They're just comedy. They're just funny. They have a couple themes and everything, but it's just comedy entertainment. It's nothing else is embedded in it. And it does have to do with like a certain workplace or whatever, you know. Well, you know, recently there's some big government news, you know, about this and that bill being overturned. I'm avoiding watchwords, you know, but you know, Supreme Court overturning this and that, you know, and things happening. So, you know, things that are people are going to feel pretty strongly about one way or the other. And since I follow him, I get some of his updates or whatever. And he put out a little update that said, you know, some people have been asking me what I feel about this thing that happened. And, you know, other people say I should just stick to comedy, but I think it's really important, you know, that people speak out, you know, and speak out their beliefs, you know. So I just want it firmly stated that I am for a woman's right to choose, and I'm for LGBTQ, and I'm for this, and I'm for that. And I'm thinking, who cares? Wait, I don't watch your comedy. I don't watch your shows to support or not support LGBTQ or women's right or anything like that. That's not part of your content. Why in the world? And the reason he had to make that little post was because he was angry about this thing that happened, and he just couldn't sit on that. He had to speak out. I've got to speak out because I'm angry about this thing. Well, I do have a lot of followers on this platform, so I've got to speak out. It's important that we speak out. I've got to speak out. It's important that you speak your mind about certain issues to the proper audience, because that's a different purpose, right? The purpose that he was trying to achieve with his audience, the way he built that platform for those short little comedy videos, people were coming there. His audience was people who wanted to be entertained, who wanted good, you know, comedy. And his purpose in making those videos for us who came to his platform was to entertain us. Now suddenly he's angry about something that's going on in the government, and now he gets a different purpose coming in. The purpose of I must either vent my anger or must proclaim that I stand for this and not for that. That conflicting purpose bumped aside for a second his purpose to entertain you with good quality comedy. And as a result, it just like I had to stop following him. I'm like, that grates on my nerves. I didn't come here to your channel. It's an important political issue. People do feel strongly about it. You know, that's great. Not here, man. What are you doing? You know, and that's something that we've seen in popular entertainment. I remember it all the way back to the Bush years. You had actors coming out of the woodworks and bands, you know, putting up, you know, pages on their website. By the way, this is how we feel about the political. Shut up. Who cares? You know, you're as an individual human being, of course you are right to have opinions about this and speak out about your opinions, not on the platform that you've built for your art. Now, a caveat or exception to that is if your art, your platform does already from the foundation up have to do with politics. So somebody like the YouTuber JP, Awaken with JP, love his channel. He's hilarious. But he's, for a long time now, you know, if you go to his video and watch any of his comedy videos, they are political satire. That's just what you know he does now. So that's okay. If that is part of your true purpose, you know, if you want to, you know, or somebody like a, you know, like a Dennis Leary or a Jon Stewart, people who used to work in comedy, but then started doing political commentary. You know, they're honest about it. At least, you know, if you go to their show or whatever, this is the content you're going to get. You know, they didn't just try to, like, you know, push it under the carpet, you know, or, you know, slip it in, you know, under a different kind of platform. And that's the problem that we see. And that's why people get so angry about agenda in stories today, because technically from a writing perspective, they're muddling their purpose. And we see this all the time. Now, I've said that one show that I really enjoyed quite a bit was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. no longer on. I'm not caught up on the last 2 seasons all the way, but I've been rewatching it with Sound Engraver, and she's really enjoying it too. And it's the writing is really smart. Now, there are those times, I've said before, you do have times where, especially in the things we've gone through the last, you know, handful of years, because the show's a little older, where you see the writers just, you had to put this little thing in there, you know, like the other night we were watching an episode from season 5, and they're fighting a Hydra agent or whatever, and one of the characters says, "How are we still fighting Nazis?" And I know what that meant. I know it was from a few years ago. I know what they meant, and the problem with that isn't that these characters wouldn't want to fight Nazis. Yeah, these are heroes. They would want to fight Nazis, but I know the political context And it breaks the story. Took me out of the story completely. In that one moment, the characters might as well just stepped aside for a second, and the writer stepped into frame going, yeah! You know, they might as well have had something that blatantly breaking, because that's what that line did. And they've done other little lines of that, you know, beforehand. You know, they were in the future or whatever. It's like, what? People can just buy guns in the past? Yeah, isn't that crazy? No, come on. Come on. Stop it. You're hurting the story, and it's not about politics. You can be for this or against this or whatever. This is why, to give you another example, this is why Christian movies usually suck, because they don't have a clear purpose. Are they trying to entertain you, or are they trying to preach the gospel? Well, sort of both, but, you know, gospel and, you know, and the stories suck. The plots are horrible. The characters are acting out of character, because they don't have a clear purpose. And it's not that you don't put your own personal feelings, your own personal philosophies and values. If you're approaching art properly and for the sake of making a good piece of art, then yeah, all of your values are naturally going to come across in this. You know, you look at some of the classical pieces of art, you know, for the religious example, you know, you think about art commissioned, you know, by the Vatican or whatever, you know, in the past, are these great works of art, you know, even though I'm not a fan of his politics, The Grapes of Wrath by, oh man, can't believe I'm blanking on the name of the Grapes of Wrath author right now. Everybody knows who I mean. I know who I mean. I'm just had a brain moment. Sorry. Pre-senior moment there. But he was very much a socialist of his day. And I can still appreciate that novel as really good art. Some of his short stories, too, because he approached it as a piece of art, and his own values did, and his own themes and his own ideas and the things he was writing about did just kind of naturally come through. That's okay. The problem is when your purpose, you have a confusion of your purposes. You not have a clear, solid idea of your purpose and your audience, right? So like in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, they've marketed this really good story to audiences, and they never said you have to be of these political beliefs to come watch our show. They just said, we've got this story for you. So people of all different kind of beliefs and values and politics come to watch it. And then when you throw something out there like that, you're going to turn away some part of your audience, because you're no longer keeping purpose and audience in mind. That happens a lot, and that's the problem. Now, from their perspective, they're thinking, yeah, this is the perfect opportunity. You know, this is the modern writer, the modern woke ideologue's philosophy. It was like the writer who wrote the Black Widow movie. I remember reading her an interview with her before the movie came out, and she was saying how she's not even really into comics. She doesn't really do superheroes, but when she was offered to write a Marvel superhero movie, she couldn't turn that down, because what a platform to really get out there and preach my values. What a platform. You know, that's exactly what she said, not in the exact words. I don't remember the wording of the interview, but that is specifically exactly what she said. I couldn't turn down that platform to get out there and show these values and whatnot. Well, then that was your purpose. And that's one of the reasons that movie stunk. That was your purpose, to preach, not to tell a good story, to make a good piece of art. And they do think this. They think that you know, well, we're you know, we've got to change the way people think. And here's the thing, though, because you're not considering your audience, you got to, for that moment, my purpose now is to get this off my chest, and I'm angry about this thing that passed or this thing, and I want to get this out there. Well, they're not taking into account their audience. The only people that are going to cheer when you throw that little dig line in your story are when you, you know, with the Buzz Lightyear thing, you know, when you put the same-sex kiss in there, the only people that are going to cheer for that are people that already are okay with that and already want that. So you're just going to preach to the choir. You're not doing anything to respect and convince people who may disagree. That's not the work of a good piece of art. It can be, but you have to approach it in a different way. You have to really understand who your audience is, what your purpose is. So I'll stop there, because the video is going to kind of ramble in, and I like to keep these short. But again, for writers, know your purpose, know your audience, have a clear definition of it, and hold to it with dear life, especially when you're emotional about something. And let's start holding our storytellers, our popular storytellers, to that as well. Stop consuming art. Well, you know, it wasn't so much agenda. Stop it! That's all for now. Thanks for watching.